Is Terrifier 3 secretly a Christian movie? Let's talk about all the biblical references in the gory horror film. For starters, Art the Clown is able to come back from the dead multiple times, something that according to the Book of Revelations, only the Beast or the Antichrist would be able to do. And the creator of the Terrifier movies has confirmed that Art the Clown is a demon, but he's leaving it ambiguous over whether or not Art is actually the devil himself. And the character who goes up against Art is Sienna, who is this biblically-like angel character. She is the ultimate good that needs to fight Art the Clown's ultimate bad. And Sienna's father is the one who has given her this prophecy that she is the one that can destroy him, but Sienna has to die in order for this to work. It is feeling a little biblical with God the Father and God the Son. It's pretty interesting, and I noticed this when I was watching Terrifier 2. But now I'm pretty sure I'm right, because one of my mutuals, Horror Chronicles, aka Sydney, posted a video talking about how Art the Clown was in a short film called The Ninth Circle many years ago. And what does Ninth Circle mean? It refers to, in Dante's Inferno, the ninth layer of hell, which is reserved only for Satan himself. I will never understand when people say that there's no plot in the Terrifier movies. Are you just not watching them? At least 2 and 3. They have so much going on.
This is the story of how Canada's most politically well-connected family's daughter ends up as an international fugitive. I mean, it's just wild. February 28th, 2021. Jordan remembers showing up to the warehouse with her boyfriend Tyler. Tyler and Jordan, were gonna meet with this couple, Oliver and Lucy, where they were gonna see if this warehouse was a good fit for a business opportunity, to rent it and use it as a marijuana growing operation. But when they get there, the realtor isn't there and all the doors are locked, which is very annoying. They have to wait for the realtor now in the cold. Tyler and Jordan get into the Range Rover to wait. They turn on the heat. Jordan is in the passenger side. Tyler, her boyfriend, is on the driver's side, turns on the car for her, and then he waves over Lucy and is like, hey, come sit down, it's cold. So Lucy slides into the driver's side. Jordan says Lucy won't even look at her. She's just on her phone. She's texting, but she's acting very nervous. It's like the lack of eye contact is a little bit strange. It's not even like she's distracted or just bored. It's like she can't even look at her. Jordan tries to make some light talk. How's your weekend? Good, fine. What did you do? Nothing, we drank on Thursday. Then Lucy just states, oh my god, you're dressed so pretty and I'm dressed like a bum. Which, you know, now that she says it, it is weird. Jordan is thinking Lucy told them that they have dinner reservations after this warehouse for 4 at this fancy restaurant. So yeah, now that she brings it up, she is severely underdressed for that. But Jordan is polite. She doesn't say anything. Eventually, she gets out of the car, and now my car turned off because the driver's side door had closed. So I guess the car thought it was off, or that everybody had left. So she slides. She doesn't exit the car. She just slides over from the passenger seat to the driver's seat while being inside, and turns the car back on. She said that's when she looks up at the side, and at the passenger side window where she had just been sitting, Oliver is standing there glaring at her, pointing a gun at her. And she said, I couldn't move, I couldn't talk, my mouth was wide open, he's pointing a gun at me, he was shaking and his eyes were bulging, and then he says, get out of here, Joe. But I guess he doesn't give her the chance to do that, because the last thing she remembers is gunshots going off. Jordan said she heard Tyler's last words, and Tyler had said, Oliver, what the bro? Tyler was shot 6 times. He was murdered. Jordan was shot 3 times. Only 1 bullet hit her, but it went into her heart. She was supposed to die that day, but she didn't. Jordan states, I mean, it's crystal clear Lucy was involved. She states, and I really liked Oliver. He was always so nice and caring. Tyler loved Oliver. It was a great friendship. He adored him. We considered them really good friends, and that's really embarrassing. It was all fake. The jury takes less than an hour to deliberate. They were found guilty.
The scariest horror movies to watch on Tubi, but make sure you do it at your own risk. And if you love all things horror, all things spooky just as much as I do, be sure to hit that follow button. The Atticus Institute follows a doctor who creates an institute to find people with supernatural abilities. When a woman named Judith comes to the facility, she showcases abilities that the military turns into a weapon. And let's just say, things get pretty damn thrilling, like you'll be on the edge of your seat, but you'll also be terrified at the same time. This movie is best to watch in the dark. Hostel Part 3 takes place in Las Vegas. It follows a group of friends at a bachelor party, and they're joined by a group of escorts who take them to a private party. And these friends find themselves as the subjects of a game of torture, the same things that we saw from the first 2 movies. And this movie is just as crazy and wild and torturous as the first 2 movies. It's bloody, it's gory, all that good stuff that we all love. This is a must watch. The House on Laura Ann Drive follows a young couple who moved to Florida for a fresh start, but do they get that? Of course not. Cause in this new home, there is something truly terrifying and sinister that's lurking all the way through throughout. This movie will show you that the grass is not always greener on the other side and to do your history on a house before moving into it. If you want something paranormal, supernatural, this is the one for you. 15 Cameras follows a couple who buy a house from the slumlord tapes. Now why would they do that? Who the hell knows? And of course the house is not as safe as they think it is, and they find themselves in the same situations as the victims from these tapes. They kinda had it coming, right? They asked for this, no? But be prepared to be on the edge of your seat just like you were with the other movies in this series. It's disturbing, it's terrifying, all that good stuff. Chain follows a serial killer who kidnapped a boy and has held him captive ever since the age of 8. The boy is now a teenager and he has two decisions to make. He can either escape or follow in the same footsteps of his captor. And we see some truly disturbing, crazy things taking place. I'm talking nail-biting, edge of your seat. It's a wild ride for sure. Definitely check this out because it's a must-watch.
I'm gonna show you a TikTok sound and let me know if you know where this sound actually came from.
Oh my gosh, bro.
You hear that, Sid? There's a man in the woods.
I've heard that before.
But you don't know where it came from? There's this short film on YouTube called Man in the Woods. It starts off with this group of kids in the playground of a school while a teacher is monitoring them, and they're like picking out some flowers from like a bush, and there's this like one kid named Sid who wants all the flowers to himself. He ends up telling the kids to watch out, that there's a man in the woods next to where they pick out their flowers. The kids start getting scared. They start telling their parents, Sid told us the man in the woods is a serial killer, and then their parents call up the school saying how, why aren't you doing anything to protect our kids? Ends up with him being fired from the school for child neglect, and it ends with what the kid started as a rumor ends up being true.
You know how difficult it is to get a job when a bitter mom slanders your rep with child neglect from the outset? Now who's in control of your classes? Single file lines? Single file lines? Little file swine, a killer by the pine? Really? Are you blind? Will you find your spine? See, a child decides to fill our minds with lies, and the next thing you see is people treating me like I'm committing crime. Those kids were lucky to have me. Do you see what you did? But I can play along. I can be good. Do you hear that, Sid? There's a man in the woods.
So the teacher or the principal ended up becoming the man in the woods because of a fucking lie that a little kid started
And ruined his life.
became a fucking drug addict, alcoholic, something that could probably happen in real life, somebody who's prone to madness, or somebody.
This is the scariest movie I have seen this year, and nothing even really comes close, to be honest. For those of you who are opening my comments as we speak and starting to type something like, this isn't scary, you're weak, watch more horror movies, number one, fuck off. Number two, I know this isn't going to be scary to everybody because horror and fear are subjective. However, if you are like me and the idea of mimics and uncanny valley type shit freaks you out, I think this one is going to get you. Daddy's Head is about this young boy whose father passes away in this tragic accident. So he's left to live alone with his stepmom, and the two of them obviously have a very strained relationship. His biological mother has already passed away and he has no next of kin, so he's left to stay with his stepmother. So they're both mourning and grieving and learning to live with this tragedy when all of a sudden this creature appears in their house one night. And it looks and sounds like this boy Isaac's father. The thing I love about this movie, and the reason that I think it was so effective for me, is it uses the Jaws method in that you really don't see the villain too much, which makes it so much scarier when you actually do. And the use of lighting in this movie too almost makes it difficult for you to see him. Like there's points in this movie where I find myself literally doing one of these things, like trying to fucking see the thing. But like the lack of seeing him and the little glimpses you get make it so much more fucking terrifying in my eyes. I think that method is way more effective. And that's why I think movies that do this are so iconic, because your mind kind of fills in the blanks and like the unknown is scarier. I will admit I will be biased towards this movie because my theater going experience made the whole thing for me. So this movie just came out on October 11th on Shudder, but I got to see the world premiere of it a few weeks ago at Fantastic Fest. So I got to see it on the big screen in a theater with a bunch of people, including a bunch of my friends, and we all kind of shared in the terror together, which made it scarier and made it better. We also met the writer and director of the movie, Benjamin Barfoot, and we exclusively called him Daddy, and he just like blindly accepted it and responded to it. As a thank you for scaring us, we bought him drinks. Yes, that was us cheersing to Daddy. Other than the actual fear aspect, this is a really thought-provoking movie. It tells a lot about grief and trauma and loss and family dynamic. And overall, I think the atmosphere of this movie is just chilling. Like the location, the set design, the sound design. Overall, I give the movie Daddy's Head a 9 out of 10. I fucking loved this movie. I watched it a second time last night and loved it just as much. And overall, it was one of my favorite films that I saw at Fantastic Fest. This movie is like Mr. Rogers meets Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors meets I Saw the TV Glow meets Five Nights at Freddy's with a little bit of Goosebumps thrown in there. Yeah, I know, that's a lot going on, but for me, it worked. Mr. Crocket came out on Hulu on October 11th. This is one of the movies that I got to see at Fantastic Fest. Mr. Crocket is about this like demonic kids TV host, and VHS tapes of his show up to kids, but only when they're vulnerable. So they show up to kids who are abused or neglected, or the main character in this movie, his father passes away. And Mr. Crocket abducts these children and takes him to his like dream-like TV set. And the main little boy, his mother will stop at nothing to save him and bring him back, and even if that means going to Mr. Crocket's dream world. This movie is really fun, it's campy, it's entertaining, and it's really nostalgic because, again, it just gives me like Goosebumps vibes. It did lose me a little bit towards the end. There is like a hard stop, like 75% of the way through this movie where I was like, okay, like it's kind of losing me. It had me really good up until right now. But I think it's still a really good, enjoyable, fun watch. It's got some good effects. It's got some good, gross gore. And while it is a little bit predictable at times, I like the ending of it because it's a little bit ambiguous and kind of leaves it open for a sequel. The actor who played Mr. Crocket did a kick-ass job. Like, he is so unsettling with this fucking creepy-ass smile. And the theme song of this movie, like the Mr. Crocket theme song, will literally get stuck in your head for days on end. Like, I've been singing this shit periodically since I saw this movie like weeks ago. Overall, I give this movie like a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10. It's weird. It feels like a weird, trippy dream from your childhood. I think it's worth checking out. Let me know what you think.
Juniper, come back inside. Oh, shit! Juniper, come back inside! Shit! There's a fucking bear outside. She ran right past it.
Animals that scientists are trying to bring back. From North America. Saber-toothed tiger. From Northern Colombia. Titanoboa. From the ocean. Megalodon. From eastern Siberia. Woolly mammoth. From Mauritius Island. Dodo bird. From Madagascar. Elephant bird.
Hey, we had the billionaire do the spacewalk from SpaceX. It's the furthest spacewalk from Earth. So, like, they were, like, right on the border of the first Van Allen belt, which is that belt of radiation around Earth.
The firmament, yeah.
Yep. If I open that thing with the Van Allen belts, like, right there, I'd be like, I don't know if I want to do this.
Sure.
It's like, it's an intense amount of radiation. But what was terrifying, too, you see that there's no air capsule. They have to open the front so everyone is exposed to space.
Yeah. He just gets pulled out, and you're like, please come back.
Someone look up what his quote was.
Okay, he said, back home we have a lot of work to do, but from here, Earth sure looks like a perfect world.
He
Beautifully
wrote that before.
put.
He wrote
Okay,
We should probably, like, in preparation for our moment, be preparing some slogans.
Yeah.
The capsule's opening.
Okay.
What are you saying?
Beep boop bop boop.
I would want to do something that has like a lot of lore with it. Be like, what's that? What's that?
Yeah.
Help! They didn't have anything attached to them. The intrusive thought of just going. It would've- I probably just would have done it because it's like I should have never been in that situation to begin with.
These pictures were discovered on the camera of two missing girls, who were later found dead under very strange circumstances. This is a crazy one, guys. Hi, I'm Meg. I talk about your crime, and let's get into this case. 21-year-old Chris and 22-year-old Lisanne grew up in Utrecht in the Netherlands. They worked in a cafe together, and they were saving up to go on a trip. They were like besties, they just moved in together, their lives were just getting started. This trip that they had planned was 6 weeks in Panama. They wanted to learn some Spanish, volunteer. It was also a way of celebrating graduating. They set off for the trip on the 15th of March of 2014. They spent the first 2 weeks of their trip doing their own thing, and then on the 28th of March, they went and stayed with a host family. In a place called, I'm going to put the name, I'm not going to try and pronounce it because I'll butcher it. Their plan there was to volunteer with kids, but those plans would never happen because of the hike they decided to take on the 1st of April. Chris and Lisanne left for this hike at 11 a.m. and they took the host family's dog with them. They were not planning on being on this hike for longer than just that day because they brought like one water bottle between them and not a lot of food. They also had a hike booked with like an actual guide the next morning, but that evening the dog made it back to the host family's house, but the girls were nowhere to be seen. No one was actually that concerned until the next day when they didn't show up for that booked hike. That's when the police were called and they started searching. On the 3rd of April, there was a small search. Nothing was found. Chris and Lisanne's families would end up actually flying into Panama to help with the searches. But it wouldn't be until June 14th, so months later, that they actually found something. A couple found Lisanne's backpack, but this same couple said that they walked through that area the day before, and the backpack definitely wasn't there. In the bag had both Lisanne and Chris's phones, alongside a digital camera, passports, some clothes. At this point, the girls had been missing for 10 weeks in a rainforest, yet the contents of the backpack were dry and not damaged. They weren't dirty either, like they were in good condition. And I'm sorry, the iPhones in 2014 would not have survived that water damage. When they looked on the phone records, they were able to see that the girls had tried to call the police 6 hours into their hike. They had actually attempted to call the police many times throughout the first few days that they went missing, but there was just no signal, so nothing was going through. So mind you, the girls went missing on the 1st of April. On the 5th of April, Lisanne's phone dies. But then on the 6th of April, someone was trying to get into Chris's phone. The password was entered multiple times, but whoever was trying, my earring just fell out. Whoever was trying failed to get onto the phone. Right. Did something happen to Chris? Was Lisanne trying to get into the phone? Or was it someone else? And then they went through the digital camera. This is when this case gets weird. So first we have the photos from the 1st of April when they originally left for the hike. These are the photos. Very normal, happy girls hiking together. It's interesting to note that at no point in these before photos, I guess we can call them, is a dog seen. On the 8th of April, mind you, 8 days after they went missing, 90 pictures were taken on the cameras between the hours of 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. They're seemingly like deep in the forest, it's clearly raining, and all you can see is just like darkness, rain, trees. Now, one thing I want to note is that I think immediately the first thought you have is they were clearly just trying to use a camera to light their way. But do know that if you're in complete darkness, that flash is just going to further blind you. And also, if they were missing at that point for 8 days, don't you think that they would like maybe move in the daylight and know not to move in the night because they wouldn't know where they were going? This photo here is very bizarre. It's almost like they're trying to show us something. Maybe they're not, but there's something about like the leaf and how it's placed. It's just very odd. And then there's this one of the back of, I believe, Lisanne's head. And some believe that where it's circled here, there's maybe blood, but that's not been proven. But this just proves that 8 days after they disappeared, there was 2 of them because someone will have taken that photo. But was it Chris? Or was it someone else? It's also interesting to note that the camera did have a recording feature. You'd think that they'd maybe leave a message for their family or something on it, but they didn't, which makes me think that maybe they weren't alone. Back to the search, they decided to search around where the backpack was found, and that's when they found something really disturbing. They found a pair of denim shorts folded up neatly on a rock and a boot. The boot had a foot in it. You heard me. It wasn't just a boot. It had a whole human foot still in it. The foot belonged to Lisanne, meaning that when she passed, she was wearing her hiking boots. And in her foot, her metatarsals were broken, which is like the bones on the top of the foot, I believe. Examiners believe this could have been caused by like a heavy rock falling onto the foot or a really bad fall. The timeline of when they found all the bones and the foot and everything is over the span of a few months. They found 33 more bones and actually also an entire skeleton belonging to another girl that had gone missing years ago. She had been missing 2 years. Some of the bones of the 33 belonged to Chris, some belonged to Lisanne. But the strangest part of it all, Chris's bones were bleached. Lisanne's were not. From where the bones were found, it would have taken the girls an entire day to walk there. Bleaching bones is a way of getting rid of like evidence on them. It can occur naturally if there's lime around, but there was no lime in this area. Forensics do believe that Lisanne's skin was tampered with at one point, but that's just a theory, not confirmed. They believed that parts of it could have been kept in like a container or something for a few days and then placed there. Once again, theory, not confirmed. I'm going to quickly go through the main theories of what happened to them, and I'd love to hear what you guys think. Theory number 1 is that there's a cannibalistic tribe that live in that rainforest and they got to the girls. This is very, very like speculated. Rarely, by the way, I found this in like the deep depths of Reddit, but there was a lot of people who believe that this tribe is real. That one has nothing to back it up. I just thought I would put it in there. Theory 2 and 1 I definitely do not believe is they died of natural causes. The trails were apparently really easy to follow up until one point where it kind of split off. And it would say like, don't go down this way. Do go down this way. And maybe they went down the one they weren't meant to go down. And apparently once you're lost in that forest, like you can get disoriented so quickly. Some believe maybe the dog ran away and they went to chase it, got lost. Maybe one of them got injured and that's why the other was trying to get into the other's phone. I just don't believe this because there's so much contradicting evidence. Why were the bones scattered? Animals, yeah, maybe, but where are the rest of the bones? There's like 200 and something bones in a human body and they've only got 33 for 2 girls. Also, why were Chris's bleached? I get really annoyed at that theory because I just don't think natural causes is like, it doesn't make sense to me. Third theory is that it had something to do with the Mexican cartel. They apparently do bleach bones with lime to get rid of evidence, so there you go. It's also apparently used to speed up decay time. And the police refused to release the autopsy results, so that's a bit suspicious. Maybe there's some corruption, but that's also just a theory. Nothing has substantial evidence. It's awful to think that the families are probably never going to get that closure. Like, these girls were just starting their lives. I would love to hear your theories and what you think happened to Chris and Lisanne. Regardless of what happened, like, it's horrible. All of the different theories, like, are horrible. I can't imagine how scared they must have been. So yeah, be safe out there. If you go hiking, make sure you know where you're going. My love and condolences to the families of these 2 girls. Let me know what case you want to see next. And I'll see you on Sunday for the next true crime video. Bye!
Be careful what you buy at a secondhand store. This story is so similar to something that happened to my mom. Also, if you have teddy bears in your room right now, you might want to kick them out. Don't say I didn't warn you. So there's a family that includes mom, dad, and their 2 sons. They end up going to this secondhand store that's ran by this old lady, and there was a section that had new toys and another one that had used toys. One of the boys found interest in this like learning kit that was brand new, and the younger sibling actually found this like stuffed teddy bear that if you put batteries in it, it would talk. So the parents secretly buy the 2 items that they wanted without telling them so that they can give it to them as gifts later on. So the parents hid these toys in the house, and the time finally came for them to give the toys to the kids. The kids were so excited because obviously they got exactly what they had wanted, and they spent all day playing with their toys. So for some reason, their house was laid out really weird. If you walked into the parents' bedroom, there was another door that led to the kids' room. So if the kids ever wanted to get out of their room or walk to the living room, they would have to get out of their room, walk through the parents' bedroom, and go out to the front. Which, by the way, they didn't mind because they felt safer that the kids were there, and if they needed to go anywhere, they would have to go through their bedroom and they would know what they're doing at all times. So there was one night where the mom was laying in bed and she started to hear that teddy bear singing, and she realized that her son was up and playing with the toy. So she tells him, hey, turn that off because your dad has to wake up really early in the morning to go to work. And the teddy bear stopped singing. So she says that she was laying there for 10 more minutes and then she heard the teddy bear again. And again, she's like, son, please turn that off. Your dad's gonna be tired and he has to work in the morning. Turn the teddy bear off. And again, the teddy bear turns off. So about 5 minutes pass where she hears that teddy bear again, but this time she's upset. So she gets up, she opens the door, and she can see that her son is laying there in bed with the teddy bear in his hands, but his back was facing her. She looks at him and she's like, didn't I tell you to stop playing with that teddy bear? And then she looks at her other son's bed. When she looks at her other son's bed, she realizes that both of her sons are on that bed holding on to each other. When she sees both of her kids, she notices that they're both like covering their mouths, so scared of saying anything, but they're pointing to the other bed. So mom was in shock because she saw a kid on that bed. She turns around again and there's no child on that bed anymore. It is just that teddy bear playing songs on its own. One of the sons finally speaks up and tells his mom that they had not been playing with that teddy bear, that they got woken up because they heard someone in their room and they saw when they were playing with that teddy bear. He tells her that they both got really scared and they laid in the same bed and they were just holding on to each other. The kid explains that he was so scared to get up and go to the parents because they saw that the little kid was in there. So the mom's trying to remain calm because again, she saw a kid over there and she's just trying to say maybe I was half asleep, but she starts walking towards the teddy bear. She grabs it, she takes the batteries out, and they have like a trunk full of toys. So again, she took the batteries out, grabs the toy, and just stuffs it all the way to the bottom of that trunk. She tells her kids, look, I'm gonna leave your bedroom door open. If anything happens, just scream for me. I'm gonna go lay down, you guys go to sleep. She goes to lay down, but she's still like a little shaken up because she wants to say it was my imagination, I was half asleep, there's no way that I saw a kid there, and she's just laying there trying to get some rest. However, not even 10 minutes later, she starts hearing that teddy bear again. At this point, she is terrified because she knows that she took those batteries out of that teddy bear. This time, the dad actually woke up because of the sound of this teddy bear, and he's angry because again, he has no idea that it's not his kids playing with that teddy bear. He turns to his wife and he's like, can you please make them stop? Like, I need to get sleep, I have to work in the morning. And she finally tells him everything that happened while he was asleep. She notices that he's a little bit scared by what she had just told him, but he gets up, goes to that, trunk of all the toys, pulls out that teddy bear, which by that point, it wasn't playing any more sounds. So with teddy bear in hand and noticing that the kids are still awake, he grabs the kids and his wife follows and they go all the way outside. She said that she knew her husband was really scared, but he ended up tearing it apart, submerging every piece of that teddy bear underwater. They all turn around and start walking away, and that's when the teddy bear started playing the song again. She said that they all got so scared in that moment because how is this teddy bear playing? It has no batteries. The husband had torn it apart piece by piece. They placed it underwater and it's still playing the song. Thankfully, she says that her husband's mom was somewhat of a witch. So they call her up and she tells them what to do because she thinks that there's an attachment to that teddy bear. She tells them to put that teddy bear in a circle of fire and they need to stand in a circle of salt. She tells them no matter what happens, nobody gets out of this salt circle. If not, it's gonna become a bigger issue. So they follow the mom's instructions and they say that when they lit up that fire, this giant flame just comes up. They're standing in the circle of salt and they can hear that same song that the teddy bear was singing, but this time it was distorted. She said that that bear finally completely burned down and they were safe enough to go back to their bedroom. And that night, everybody slept in the same bed.
It was a crime so gruesome and horrific that the town just canceled Halloween. A 17-year-old boy brutally kills both of his parents, and then his town believes that he did it because he was being possessed by a demon. It's October, it's my favorite month, it's my birthday month, and since it's October, it's spooky season. You guys have been begging me to cover the most horrific and terrifying true crime cases I know, and all I gotta say is, be careful what you ask for. No, seriously, this one is awful. The Brooks family lived in Bel Air, Ohio, a little small town where everyone knows everyone and everyone knows your business. From the outside, the Brooks family appeared to be your average, happy, normal Catholic family. You have mom, dad, and 3 sons, but behind closed doors, reality may have been a lot darker than anyone knew. There were rumors in town that the father of the household, Terry Brooks, was an abusive, angry alcoholic who primarily took out his violence and anger on his wife and his middle child, child, Nathan Brooks. Before experiencing vicious abuse at the hands of his own father, Nathan was described as being sweet, happy, and gentle. But as he got older, he became more withdrawn and just sad. As a young boy, Nathan was a devout member of his Catholic church. He was an altar boy. He was also very close with his priest and also wanted to be a priest himself when he grew up. But pretty much everything that described Nathan Brooks did a full 180 in his teen years. Don't know an exact age when these disturbing behaviors started, but what I do know is by the time that Nathan was 17 years old, and it was the summer before his senior year started, Nathan became fascinated in the occult and also Satanism and became obsessed with serial killers. He started experimenting with mind-altering substances, hallucinogenics, and also dabbling in his own satanic rituals. Nathan was confronted by his older brother who found him hiding animal bones in his bedroom, including the skull of a baby lamb. His older brother also accused Nathan of tormenting and torturing neighborhood cats. It was also this summer that Nathan got a part-time job at a nursing home, which seems nice, but while at the nursing home, he became obsessed with patients that were close to death so that he could study and watch them slowly die. It was also around this time that Nathan himself realized that he was not the same as other people, like it wasn't already completely obvious to everyone else. But Nathan says that he realized this after two of his very close friends passed away in the same year, and at their funerals he would watch all these other people grieve, but he did not feel any strong emotions himself and only found himself wondering what was going to happen to their bodies after they died, like how they were going to, decompose. And he also began to question if he was evil. When senior year started in the fall, teachers and students alike both realized that this Nathan Brooks that came back for senior year was not the same Nathan that had left for summer break. This Nathan was very odd. He was drawing satanic symbols in his notebooks as well as other really, really odd things like God is dead and Satan is good and Satan is my BFF. Nathan was also signing all of his school assignments under the name Nathan Brooks, Master of Death. And for all of these odd behaviors, Nathan was sent to talk to the school counselor, and the school counselor thought that Nathan was very nice until Nathan told her that he was going to cut off her head and leave her body on the side of the road. Big yikes. The school counselor called Nathan's mom and told her what Nathan said to her, and Nathan's mom told the school counselor that Nathan was just going through a phase. So what exactly has happened to Nathan? What caused this teenage boy to drastically change everything about himself and his behavior in what seems one summer? And as the first month of Nathan's senior year came to a close at the end of September 1995, Nathan's behavior only got worse. And then 1 month before Halloween on September 30th, 1995, while both of his parents slept, 17-year-old Nathan shot his father, 53-year-old Terry Brooks, in the head 3 times. He then used a hatchet to kill his mother, 51-year-old Marilyn Brooks. He then used a sharp weapon on her 10 times and then attempted to crucify his mother onto the wall. Nathan then used a hacksaw to remove his father's head, then said that he performed a ritual on it, and he said that he felt Satan's love while he was doing this, and then Nathan put his father's head in a punch bowl in the living room. Nathan's younger brother, 16-year-old Ryan, was not home that night, but he was supposed to be. He was over at a friend's house playing video games, but time kind of escaped them. They didn't realize how late it had gotten, and around 1 a.m., Ryan called his house to, tell his parents where he was and tell them, I'm probably just going to stay the night over at my friend's house. But his parents did not answer the phone. His brother Nathan did, after just killing both of their parents. And Nathan told Ryan that, Mom and Dad actually want you to come home, so come home right now. By the time that Ryan got home, his brother had already left. He found it odd that all the lights were on because at this point it was around 3 a.m. and his father has to get up for work early in the morning. At only 16 years old, Ryan was the one to find this gruesome scene. Blood everywhere and his father's head laying in a punch bowl. Nathan was found shortly later just walking around. He was arrested and he made a full and detailed confession and also confessed that he planned to kill his younger brother Ryan and then go on a killing spree. Multiple hit lists were actually found in Nathan's room and also at his locker at school, but the first 3 names were always his brother, his mother, and his father. Several names also had what Nathan planned to do to them, like how he planned to kill them, written next to the names, like Skin and SA. Some of the other names on Nathan's list were Ashley, Mike, Jill, Corey, Dave, Ryan, Jason, and Justin. And when the media in this really, really small town heard about this horrific case that happened in their small town, they ran with it. And there was mass panic throughout the entire community that there was a satanic cult in their town. And I cannot believe that they were even able to do this, but the media even published Nathan's hit list in the newspaper, which caused even more terror because Nathan's hit list did not include last names. So if you are someone named Ashley, Mike, Jill, Corey, Justin, or Jason, and you think there's a satanic cult now in your town because that's what the media is putting out there, you now think that you're going to be next. And after this horrific crime and all of the panic in the community, there were some teens that tried to pull some pranks that the media completely blew out of proportion as proof of these cults in the area. Reportedly, children became afraid of their own friends and their own family members and did not trust anyone. People in the town also believed that Nathan was possessed by a demon at the time of the crimes because of his drastic change in behavior, and also apparently in the weeks before the murders, Nathan would often complain about smelling rotten meat, which apparently, I guess, is a sign of someone being possessed by a demon. The more you know, right? And then on October 12th, less than 2 weeks after the murders, the mayor actually canceled Halloween for that year, which made people even feel more frightened because now if the mayor feels unsafe, then we must be unsafe. Nathan, at only 17 years old, was being tried as an adult on 2 counts of murder, which he pled not guilty for by reason of insanity. During his trial, they actually played his confession tapes for the jury, where you could hear Nathan laughing hysterically as he detailed in gruesome, terrifying detail how he killed his parents. You could also hear Nathan on this confession tape saying that he planned this huge murder spree where he planned to kill everyone that trusted him. And reportedly, Nathan actually cried while this tape was being played in his trial. From everything I've read, it appears that Nathan's surviving family stuck by him through his trial and still continue to stick by him, but I don't know how accurate that information is. And I did find one nice detail I can report to you guys in this whole terrifying true crime case. So you remember the youngest Brooks brother, Ryan Brooks? He was only 16 years old when this entire thing happened. Well, the community actually all came together and raised money to pay for his college, which I thought was nice, and I did want to share that with you guys. And Nathan Brooks was found guilty on all charges, and apparently he showed no emotion while that was read out. He was sentenced to 40 years to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 30 years. And from what I've read, apparently he's eligible for parole on September 18th, 2025. So less than 1 year away. And if you watched the end of this video, thank you so much. Please leave me all your thoughts in the comments, what case you want to see me cover next. But until then, I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys tomorrow with another case.
What this man did will make a grown man cry. During the 1930s in Orphan City, Tennessee, there was a man named Alfredo who owned a giant aquarium that was very successful. The main attraction of the aquarium was Al's giant albino shark named Bertram. After years of being open, everything was great until an employee went to the police, claiming that he witnessed Al throw a lifeless body into Bertram's tank one night. After further investigation, it was discovered that disappearances in the town had increased almost 500% since the aquarium had opened. The police would then set up surveillance on Al and watch what he was doing at night. After a few days, they witnessed him enter a random house with a suitcase and then an hour later walk out with it. But this time he was struggling with the weight of the suitcase. The police would then secretly follow him and would end up at the aquarium. Once Al entered inside, the police raided the aquarium, but when they attempted to arrest him, he resisted and they started to chase him on foot. He eventually ran up to the top of Bertram's tank, and when the police surrounded him, he jumped in and was quoted saying, "Protect me, my sweet Bertram." Al was never seen again, and what they found in the suitcase led investigators to connect him to over 400 disappearances over an 8-year span.
I would say there was one sus video I saw, but this is low-key like a W on Blue Ivy's part.
Yeah.
And you know how you're supposed to thank Beyonce?
Yeah.
I think it was Taylor Swift or it was somebody else. It was some artist. The camera cut, right? The camera cut and it showed Beyonce, Jay-Z, Blue Ivy, feel me? And the Blue Ivy goes to them and is like, oh, spare her. No way. spare her? Look at this, bro. Spare her is so crazy. Okay.
Spare is so
We don't know
crazy,
for sure that's what she said, but that's what fans are saying. And it's kind of funny. Here, look. Blue Ivy.
Yo.
Oh, it's Camila Cabello. Look.
Oh, okay.
Blue Ivy saving Camila Cabello. Look. Yo, I like her. Just save her. Yo, what? Yo, you really went like this. Really went like this. Yo.
That's fucking hilarious.
Nah, the hand sign, like, yo, chill. Yo, chill. She's cool. Cause she didn't thank Beyonce.
Yeah, she didn't
thank. Oh shit. She didn't thank Beyonce, bro.